Hello and welcome to Native Yoga Center. My name is Todd McLaughlin, and today I want to give some pointers and details on how to practice seated angle pose. In Ashtanga Yoga, we have a pose called Upavistha Konasana. We enter in the jump and we take our legs separate. Okay, so naturally you can come down onto the floor any which way is comfortable for you. And in seated angle pose, basically we're working a wide leg forward fold position, Upavistha Konasana. And today I'll explain both Upavistha Konasana A position and Upavistha Konasana B position, which is where we balance on our hips and practice holding the feet while balancing on the hips. So a couple of key factors. Number one is that we want to be able to build the ability to sit vertically with our legs straight. So much earlier on in the series, we have a pose called Dandasana, which is stick pose. And basically we're attempting to get straight legs and to be able to get our spine vertical. So you come down on the floor, place your palms on the floor, and first feel your ability to align your rib cage and chest and torso above your hips. Now, if the hamstrings are really tight and we are unable to sit vertical, we would need to move our hands back. And so similarly in Upavistha Konasana, when we take the legs straight, but in this case separate, you might need to begin with your hands on the floor behind you. Because what you'll observe is that whenever you forward fold, the first place that typically gives are the knees, meaning they'll bend. So we'll be back here, we're good. And then we start to come forward and the knees want to bend. And that's because the hamstring muscles are tight. And what we're aiming to do is to loosen the hamstring muscles. So we have the three main strands of hamstring musculature on the back of the leg, the biceps femoris, semitendinosus, and semimembranosus muscles. And then we also have a whole group of musculature here, a whole group of muscles here on the inner thigh called the adductors, because when they contract or shorten, they add our legs together toward the midline. Hence, the muscles on the outside are the abductors. When these contract, we separate. All right, so our main strategy really is to start to affect the musculature on the inner thigh and the back of the legs. And then also as we start working deeper, we're going to start to work into the lower back musculature and our ability to flex the spine and to manipulate the pelvis either in a posterior tilt or forward into an anterior tilt. So once you sit down, first discover, are you able to sit and have your legs go into extension? Extension is when your knees are straight. So that's really our first goal. And one of the exercises you can do here is by leaning back on your hands is just practice. These are your quadricep muscles, contracting your quads. In other words, you attempt to try to push the back of the knees down against the floor. So when you contract your quads, your hamstring muscles lengthen. So contract your quads, relax your quads. Contract your quads, relax your quads. Contract your quads, relax your quads. You get the idea. So now what I want you to try to do is see, is it possible for you to take your hands from the floor behind you and place them onto your legs? And can you still balance and do that? If you can take your hands close to your knees, start to explore your ability to rock forward and back. Excuse me. If you're really tight in your hamstrings, what will happen is you'll be able to rock back because the tension keeps you pulled back in this sort of space. So then where the flexibility comes into the play is think, I'm going to try to get the sternum, the center of the chest, up. And so, in other words, try to press your chest forward. Another action you can connect to is your shoulder blades. Try to draw your shoulder blades down and try to draw them together on your back. So just that simple action of moving your shoulder blades and moving the way, like pushing your chest forward, is going to affect the way that your pelvis moves. So we put the hands on the legs, you can hang on to them and lift. Now, if you want to employ, because I know a lot of folks have a really tough time going out and touching their toes, like that's a long way away. Now here I have two equidistant props that you can put on the feet. I know some people have different feelings about using props or not, and I think, try them out, see if they work. Eventually we're going to let go of it, but if we can use something to our advantage and it helps, then I think, yeah, why not? Now here with the props, you can hold on to something and you can work the ability to work anterior tilt of your pelvis and posterior tilt of your pelvis. Coming forward, chest forward, anterior tilt, leaning back, chest behind the hips, posterior tilt. So that can be a good way because that can be a good way to start to learn to manipulate the hips and get acquainted with what that even means. Now, in Ashtanga primary series, we have a grip that involves taking the thumbs on the top of the foot and the forefingers around the outside edge of the foot, so that the thumb tips go right in between the first and second metatarsal, big toe, small, second toe, and the other four fingers wrap around the edge of the foot. Now there's a whole bunch of different grips, but I want to point out the grip that is typically used in the Ashtanga primary series. All right, but naturally you're like, well, I can't reach my feet. What do I do? Then hopefully it was clear earlier, but I'll reedify. Put your hands on your shins and just work on sitting up nice and tall. Squeeze your quads, feel your belly, and try to contract your abdominal wall. Try to use the contraction of the abdominal wall to create the sensation that you're actually lifting up a little bit. And from this uplift is where we're now going to try to use the tip forward to start to get that stretch going deeper into the hips. So what I recommend is try to hold the pose anywhere from 1 to 5 minutes every day for about 30 days. If you go to my website, nativeyogacenter.com, on the homepage, I have a free printable 30-day challenge calendar that you can keep track of your progress. And so as you start to fold forward, where we can aim toward is potentially landing the chin down onto the floor. And this is just a matter of just slow, gradual practice over a long period of time. Don't force it. It's not like once your chin touches the floor, you magically become enlightened. It's just that by working your mobility, you're going to feel a little better in your own body. So that's part of the strategy. So another couple of elements, questions that I'll often get. Can I or should I bend my knees to be able to grab my feet? So there is benefit to practicing a posture like this where we can work our hip mobility and come forward through the legs. In Upavistha Konasana, in the seated angle pose, I recommend go ahead and take your legs into the full straight position. And another element you can start to exercise is your ability to work your ankle movements while you're holding in the wide leg stretch. So when you turn your toes towards you, this is called dorsiflexion. And when you point your toes away from you, that's called plantar flexion of the ankle. So you can dorsiflex and plantar flex. And sometimes you doing these simple exercises like squeeze the quads, relax the quads, dorsiflex, plantar flex. Try to squeeze the quads, hold the quads, and dorsiflex. Try to squeeze the quads, hold the quads, plantar flex. See if you can hold the quads and move from dorsiflex to plantar flex while you keep your quadricep muscles engaged. These sort of coordination exercises help you to generate some heat in the body and also to kind of loosen up the ligament and tendon and musculature around each of the joints as we work up the chain. So now in the process of folding forward, what I do want to point out, because I do work managing my own back pain and have some disc issue down low, for me, folding forward feels good. Going backward, not so good. So if you do have spinal vertebra disc issues, meaning maybe you have a bulging disc or a herniation somewhere along the whole vertebral column, what we need to be careful of is when you come forward, if that increases the compression, coming forward might not be on the cards for you. What you can do is stabilize through the lift and just hold the squeeze of your legs or place your hands onto the floor behind you. So if you're working with spondylolisthesis or you're working with some sort of a herniation or a disc issue, then just stabilize and work the strength of your core. All right. And then if you start to come forward and you're like, no, everything feels good, I don't have any back pain. Now, typically just letting gravity fold, like basically just going into a relaxation mode and just holding and concentrate on your breath. And inhale, breathe, and exhale, breathe through your nose. And keep your mouth closed. And you can even utilize the Ujjayi breathing, the breathing with sound, where you squeeze a little bit in the back of your throat. The easiest way to connect with this is to open your mouth and make a sound. And then what you do is on the midway on the ha, you close the mouth so it's like, and when you breathe in, you're breathing through the throat. I mean, you're breathing through your nose, but it's coming through the throat, and the throat's a little tightened up, and that's how you create a little friction. And also what we want to do is take the mind and harness the energy into a single point of concentration and focus. So it doesn't matter how far you go. What matters is the ability to harness your attention and to feel some like energy movement in the body, be it breath, be it blood flow, be it muscle tension releasing. These are just some of the things that we can focus on. All right, Upavistha Konasana B is unique, a little more challenging because now we're going to balance. So I'm going to just turn to the side. So what we're going to do here in the beginning is see if you can use your two fingers, your peace finger grip, slide them in between the big and the second toe, and then just lean back and lift your feet off the floor. Once you can get the balance here, it's about trying to extend your legs without falling backward. So don't go so far with your extension of your knees so that you fall. Try to find the balance point. Pick a focal point on the ceiling up above, or if you're outdoors, pick something above you to focus on. And then just slow and steady work. And here we have the fulcrum. Now, typically what will happen is there'll be this big rounding in the back. And then there's a chance that we might get our legs straight. And the move to follow up with is the extension of the spine. So we try to lift the chest up and pull the shoulders down and back while holding. And in the Upavistha Konasana B, in the variation in Ashtanga Yoga, the official grip is to grab the outside edges of the feet. This is a little bit more of a deep grip, which will pull you a little more into flexion. However, what we attempt to do is kind of hold on nice and tight and lift the chest up while you balance. So again, just have fun with it. Focus on your balance first. Realistically, being able to do that pose is going to get easier. The more you're able to fold forward and touch your toes here, the easier it'll be, obviously, to do that up in the balance point. Remember, if you have any questions, you can reach out to me on whichever social media platform you're communicating with now. And I'd love to answer any questions that you have about your yoga practice. I try my best anyway. Please feel free to reach out. And remember, every Friday I release a new podcast called Native Yoga Toddcast. I have a great episode released right now with Kater Shikoy, who is from San Francisco, and she's a yoga therapist. And she wrote a book about TMJ and jaw pain and how to use yoga and mindfulness to help or even cure jaw pain. Check that one out. And there's so many great episodes on there. There's so much to learn. I hope you enjoy. All right. Thanks so much. And I'll see you every Thursday. I'm here at 11:30 and 12 p.m. teaching online. And I look forward to catching up again soon. All right. Namaste.